po ay pag-aaralan natin the Book of Esther. God's Hidden Hand in Human History. Pinamagatan po natin itong God's Hidden Hand in Human History. Bakit? Because in the story of Esther, makikita natin grabe yung pagkilos talaga ng kamay ng Diyos sa kalagitnaan ng mga anak niya, ng mga, we call it the people of God. So we will be able to see how God orchestrated everything according to His purpose. So ang pamagat ng ating pag-aaralan ngayon, the Book of Esther, God's Hidden Hand in Human History. So introduction, ito po, this book actually is so fascinating. Why? Because you will be able to see courage of the people of faith, the people of God. And we will see also how God's providence work in the midst of His people. Pag sinabi nating providence, ano yan eh? Yung ang Panginoon ang nag-orchestrate ng lahat ng bagay. Naka nyo? Ngayon, of course, sa lahat ng ito, ang Diyos ay kumikilos para sa kaluwalhatian niya, para maihayag ang kanyang presensya, ang kanyang kapangyarihan, and eventually, so that people will start to believe that there is God, and this God is actually working in the midst of His people. So, this book actually reminds us that even God seems silent. May mga times sa ating buhay kasi na parang ang Diyos parang tahimik siya, parang hindi siya nagsasalita. In fact, may mga time na parang sasabihin natin, parang ganun, hindi ko nararamdaman si God o hindi ko nakikita siya kung paano siya kumikilos. Alam niyo, itong book na ito, makikita natin na seemingly, parang makikita mo na God is so silent, but actually, He is actually working behind the scene to fulfill His purposes and protect His people. So that is the book of Esther. So anong background nito? Well, ang author ng nito ay hindi talaga binanggit, walang external evidence or sa libro mismo, walang nakasulat na kung sino yung nagsulat. Sabi ng mga Bible scholar, possibly daw si Mordecai. Si Mordecai actually yung tito ni Esther is one of the main character in the story. Sabi ng mga scholars, maaring siya daw kasi very detailed yung pagkakakwento kung papaano yung providence ni God from one event to another event, makikita mo. Ngayon, sinulat ito around 460 to 350 BC. No, it was during actually the Persian Empire, meaning to say, yung mga Israelita nasa exile sila. At this was actually during the reign of King Xerxes. Ang pangalan niya, he is called actually in other name as Ahasuerus. So dito sa buong libro ng Esther, ang main characters ay of course si Esther, who eventually became queen, si Mordecai, yung tito niya, si King Xerxes, syempre yung napangasawa ni Esther, at syempre pag may bida, merong kontrabida, at yan ay si Haman. So that's the background. Now, kung isa-summarize natin in statements, yung kabuuan ng Book of Esther sa 4 na P. Una, makikita mo yung God's providence. Sa buong libro, you will be able to see how God arranges events so that Esther rise from low going to a very successful position. Nyo, yung providence ni God na makikita rin natin kung paano niligtas si Mordecai, tinaas siya, at eventually niligtas yung buong lipi ng Israel sa time ng Persian Empire. Pangalawa, yung peril. Ano yung peril? Yung kapahamakan naman na tinamo ng mga taong nagpaplano na ang mga anak ng Diyos ay salantain. Nakuha nyo, yung mga taong laging nagpaplano na ang mga mananampalataya ay gupuin, salantain o gawa ng masama, dito makikita natin na ang Diyos nag-orchestrate siya. Sa kabila ng lahat ng ito, ang Diyos, meron siyang paraan para magbigay ng justice. Pangatlo, sa kabuuan ng kwento, makikita natin yung protection ni God kay Esther, kay Mordecai, at sa buong lipi ng Israel during the time sa Persian Empire, kung paano pinagplanuhan silang patayin. Pero ang Diyos prinoteksyonan talaga sila. Nakuha nyo? And so therefore, God's faithfulness, you will see God's faithfulness and His deliverance. Of course, He uses people like Mordecai and Esther. And of course, at the end, people were led to praise God. Ang mga tao, nagpuri sila sa Panginoon. I mean, inattribute nila lahat ng ito, lahat na nangyari kay Yahweh, kay God. Kung paano lahat ng bagay ay ginawa ng Panginoon na maayos. So, binalik nila sa Panginoon ang mga papuri at pagsamba. So that's the ano. So, bibigyan ko muna kayo ng ilang mga Bible trivia. Marami actually, pero pinili ko lang ilang mga Bible trivia pagdating sa Book of Esther. Ito ang ilan. Number 1, alam niyo ba na sa Book of Esther, hindi nabanggit ang pangalan ng Diyos. So God's name actually is never mentioned in the entire book. Nakakala nyo? This is one of the book actually in the Bible. May isa pa kalimutan ko, pero siguro i-ano natin yun, i-search natin. Alam ko nadaanan natin yun. Pero yeah, in the Book of Esther, God's name is never mentioned. Ayun pala, no? Sabi, Esther is one of the only 2 books in the Bible. Yung isa ay Song of Solomon. Nandito na pala nakasulat. Sabi ko na, naisulat ko yan. Okay. So, may 2 libro sa Bible na ang pangalan ng Diyos hindi nabanggit. Pero it does not mean that God is never there. Actually, God is working behind the background. Nakuha nyo? So, yet, although God's name is never mentioned in the whole entire book of Esther, but you will see very clearly the providence of God, how He worked throughout the entire story. Nakuha nyo? So, yan ang isa sa mga trivia natin. Pangalawa, ang pangalawang trivia, si Esther orphan siya. So, wala na siyang mga magulang. Siguro namatay during during their stay in the Persian Empire. But he had actually, hindi pala tito, he has a cousin. Si Mordecai ay relatives, no? And of course, during that time, dahil nasa exile sila, yung mga magkakamag-anak na magkakasama, silang nagtutulungan. Nakuha nyo? So after the death of the parents of Esther, Mordecai was the one who took responsibility for Esther. Pero yung kanilang identity as Jew, hindi nilang sinasabi. Nakuha nyo? Alam nyo kung bakit? Kasi merong theology actually na ang tawag ay anti-Semitics. Yung mga Jew, lagi silang pinipersecute. In fact, the devil wants them all dead. Kasi may promise si God na darating o lalabas ang tagapagligtas sa lipi ng mga Hudyo. So, ayan. Pangatlo, of course, the event actually happened in Persia. No, yun yung venue ng pangyayari in the city of Susa o Shushan, one of the capital of Persian Empire. Now, number 4, the king's real name of Xerxes, he was called actually in Hebrew ni Ahasuerus, pero ang totoong pangalan niya, and you can read this actually in history, si Xerxes the First. He actually ruled from 486 to 465 BC. So ayan, meaning to say, even out of biblical support, you can actually get information from the history of what happened at the time of Xerxes the First. Now ito pang-5, ito isa talaga sa trivia ito. Si Haman, yung kontrabida, he was a descendants of Agag. He was an Agagite. Naalala nyo si Agag? Si Agag, ano siya Amalekite king during the time of King Saul. Itong Amalekite king na ito, pinatay ni hinuli actually ito ni Saul, tapos yung kanilang kaharian nilupig. Nakuha nyo, itong si Agag, sinabihan ni Samuel na dapat patayin ni King Saul. But King Saul failed to kill the king. And so therefore, itong king na to nagkaroon pa ng descendants. At si Haman was from the line of Agag. So you can just imagine si Haman from the family of Agag, King Agag, na kung saan nilupig, sinalanta o sinakop actually ni King Saul. And so therefore, you can just imagine yung hatred, no? Yung hatred ni Haman sa mga Hudyo during their time. Kumbaga, ito yung mga lipi na pumatay sa amin, no? Dapat sana si Haman, if he is coming from the line of King Agag, so royalty din siya. Nakanya? So yan. So merong most likely may hatred itong si Agag sa mga Hudyo. Okay, number 6, unique writing style. Itong book of book of Esther, you will see a very different kind of style. Yung alam mo yung drama niya, makikita mo yung kwento niya talaga. I mean, matutuwa ka talaga pag binasa mo to at pinakinggan kasi full of reversal saka ironic. Anong ibig sabihin ng ironic? Yung alam mo yun, yung plinanuhan sila ng masama pero maganda yung kinalabasan. Plinano na sila ay ipahiya pero lumabas na si Mordecai ay itinaas. Nakanyo? Gumawa ng poll na kung saan dapat papatayin si Mordecai. Pero ang nailagay doon, ang pinatay doon yung gumawa. Nakanyo? Grabe yung yung kwento niya, no? Kumbaga pa sa istorya, talagang yung makaka-capture talaga yung attention ng tao. This is actually a historical novel. Nakakanya? Number 7, this book were actually entirely about the Jews living in exile. You will notice the entire book was actually about the Jews that's living during the Persian Empire. So Esther tells the story of the Jews living outside their homeland. Sa buong Bible, ito yung libro na kung saan ang kinikwento na kung saan nasa labas sila ng Canaan. Nasa exile sila. Kasi even yung book of Daniel, I mean, may portion doon na nandoon sila sa exile pero nagsimula yun sa yung libro doon sa bago sila na exile. Now, pag-usapan natin yung outline. Ito na yung pinaka-story ng Book of Esther. Tapos from time to time, magbabasa ako ng mga talata sa Bible. Pero I'm not going to share to you. Babasahin ko na lang sa Bible. No? Now, ito, yung una, sa chapter 1 and 2, we will be able to see the rise of Esther. Anong nangyari doon? Sabi rito, this happened during the times of Xerxes, who ruled over 127 provinces at the time of Xerxes' reign from his royal throne. Sabi rito, on the third day of his reign, he gave a banquet. Ano sabi rito? Nagbigay daw siya ng banquet. Parang po ito, piyestahan. Alam nyo, pag sila nagbigay ng banquet, hindi po ito isang araw. Sabi rito, full of 180 days. At ang intention, sabi rito, to display the vast wealth of kingdom in the splendor of his glory. So yun ang pinaka-intention ni King Xerxes. So grabing yan, grabing kasayahan yan. So inuman, hindi lang sex orgies, and so on and so forth. Now, when these days were over, the king gave a banquet lasting 7 days in the enclosed garden of the king for all the people from the least to the greatest who were the citadels of Susa. So ano nangyari? Sabi dito, by the king's command, each guest was allowed to drink with no restriction. Pansinin nyo, no? Grabe yung inuman, no? No restrictions yung inuman. And for the kings instructed all wine steward to serve each man what he wish. Grabe. Ano to? Inuman to the max. Nakanyo? Now, during that time, Queen Vashti, the queen of Persian Empire, also have a banquet for the woman royal. Sabi rito. Now, on the 7th day, anong ginawa? Nung lasing na si King Xerxes, ito yan, inutusan niya yung kanyang mga eunuch. Sabi niya, papuntahin niyo rito si King Vashti. Alam niyo kung anong kung anong intention niya para para alam mo yun, magpakitang gilas, magmalaki. Sabi niya pumunta. Kaya lang alam niyo, anong nangyari dito sa story, yan. The Queen Vashti refused to come by the order of the king. Isipin mo, nag-order ang king. Hari, sabi, papuntahin yan. Kasi gusto niya i-display yung maganda niyang asawa doon sa mga bisita niya. At isipin mo, lasing na lasing ito, langhong-lango. So mayabang, pinagyabang niya yung kanyang mga kayamanan, yung kanyang kaharian, at ngayon, gusto niya pagyaban yung kanyang reyna. Kaya lang, his command was refused. by the queen. And you know what? That is a capital punishable by death actually. Capital punishment by the death. Nakuha nyo? Kasi anong ibig sabihin nun? Pag may inutos ang hari, hindi mo sinunod, eto na. Nag-usap-usap. So, nag-usap-usap actually yung mga matataas na pinuno. Sabi nila, nako, yung ginawa ng mahal na reyna, pag nabalitaan yan ng mga babae dito sa imperyo nyo, nako, ang lahat po ng babae parang magkakaroon sila ng lakas na hindi sundin ng kanilang asawa. And so therefore, the queen was actually deposed. Nakuha nyo, pinarusahan yung reyna. In fact, ang parusa, tingnan natin kung ano yung parusa. Mas maganda makita natin mismo from the Bible. Nakuha nyo, tingnan nyo ito. So from verse 16, ito, sabi rito, then Memuca replied in the presence of the king, Queen Vashti has done wrong, not only against the king but also against the nobles and the peoples of all the provinces of Xerxes. For the queen's conduct will become known to all women so that they will despise their husband. Grabe, sabi, pag pinalagpas niyo po ito mahal na hari, sigurado lahat kami, pati mga asawa namin, hindi na rin kami susundin. Sabi niya, and so therefore, sabi rito, so King Xerxes commanded Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but he should not come. This very day, the Persian and the Median woman of the nobility who have heard about the queen's conduct will respond to all king's noble in the same way. There will be no end. Ano daw sabi? Anong sabi niyan? Sabi niya, hindi matatapos to. Ibig sabihin, parang sinasabi ng mga leader ni King Xerxes, pag hindi po natin to ginawa ng paraan, naku po, lahat po ng mga asawang babae, sigurado po, lalapastanganin na rin at hindi rin sila susunod sa kanilang asawa. Sabi niya, therefore, if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree and let it be written in the laws of Persia, which cannot be repeated, that Vashti is never again to enter the presence of King Xerxes. Also, let the king give her royal position to someone else better. So, ano ibig sabihin? Tinanggal siya as queen. Nakuha nyo? Then when the king's edict is proclaimed throughout all his vast realm, all the women will respect. Sabi niya, kapag ginawa niyo po ito, sigurado, ire-respeto tayong mga lalaki ng mga kababaihan. So, the queen was deposed. So, meaning to say, walang queen during that time. So dito dumating actually yung opportunity for Esther to become queen. Anong nangyari? Nagkaroon ng search for the new queen. Nagkaroon ng beauty pageant. And during the time, si Mordecai was actually raising Esther. Inalagaan niyang mabuti at pinasali niya si Esther dun sa beauty contest. Nakuha niyo? To make the long story short, what happened? Esther won. He won. Is the most beautiful lady in the land, and he was chosen as the queen of Persian Empire. Nakuha nyo? Grabe. And during that time, eventually, hindi sinasadyang pangyayari, pero plinano ng Diyos. Nung si Mordecai ay nasa gate, may narinig siyang dalawang tao, official sa kaharian. And they were planning a assassination of the king. So, nung narinig niya ito, itong dalawang to nagpaplano ng assassination, sinabi niya ito. And so therefore, eventually, the king was, what happened? The king actually was saved from the assassination. Tawa nyo? Sa hindi inaasahang pangyayari, parang yung una, no? Sa hindi inaasahang pangyayari, natanggal ang queen. Sa hindi inaasahang pangyayari, naging queen si Esther. Sa hindi inaasahang pangyayari, narinig ni Mordecai na i-assassinate yung king. Sinumbong niya, and so therefore, napigilan yung assassination. Nakuha nyo, kung titignan nyo, parang sa hindi inaasahang pangyayari. Pero behind the scene, actually, it was God. Si God talagang nag-orchestrate. Nakuha nyo, kasi may plano nga siya. Now, tingnan natin. So, let's go to this chapter 3, chapter 4. This is actually the beginning of the threats. Death threats against the Jews. Not only for Haman, but for the entire Jew in the land. Nakuha nyo? So, sa chapter 3, verse 1 to 6, you will be able to see that Haman was promoted. Mas maganda, basahin natin chapter 3. No? Ayan, chapter 3. Ayan. Now, sabi rito, after these events, King Xerxes honored Haman. This time, si Haman yung yung kontrabida, he actually was promoted, no? Tingnan natin kung paano nangyari. After these events, King Xerxes honored Haman, son of Hammedatha, the Agagite. You will see he is an Agagite, elevating him and giving him a seat of honor higher than that all other nobles. So, most likely, itong si Haman became the prime minister. Akanya, so very siya, medyo mayabang, may posisyon eh. Akanya, itong si Haman, prinomote siya ni King Xerxes, became most likely, kasi siya, pinaka-leader ng mga ministers, so prime minister, he is promoted above all nobles, and so therefore he felt like, mataas na ako. Ngayon, gustong-gusto niya na kapag maglalakad siya, yung mga tao, yuyukod sa kanya, magbibigay galang. Sa lahat ng mga tao na nakakasalubong niya, lahat yumuyukod, pwera lang sa isang tao talagang ito. Ang pangalan niya, Mordecai. So si Mordecai, every time na makikita niya, hindi yumuyukod sa kanya, naiinis talaga siya. So napoprovoke yung galit niya. Sabi, itong taong to, ayaw na naman akong And eventually, he know that Mordecai is a Jew. Nakuha nyo? So therefore, he started plotting to destroy not only Mordecai, but all the Jews. Kasi alam niya, ito si Mordecai, Hudyo to. Gusto kong mapahamak ito, mamatay ito. Pero hindi lang yan. Sakop-sakop na lahat na ng mga Hudyo. So, anong ginawa niya? What he did actually, kinausap niya yung hari at kinumbinsi niya. Kinumbinsi niya na magbigay ng batas na kung saan exterminate for a particular day, exterminate lahat ng mga Hudyo. Nakuha nyo? Mababasa yun sa chapter 3, verse 7 to 15. Ayan, tingnan natin. Sabi rito, on the 12th year of King Xerxes, in the first month, the month of Nisan, the Pur, that is the lot. Actually, dito nang galing yung salitang Purim, no? Tandaan niyo yan, yung salitang Pur. Now, was cast in the presence of Haman to select the day and month. And the lot fell on the 12th month, the month of Adar. Then Haman said to King Xerxes, there is a certain people despised among the peoples in all the provinces of your kingdom who keep themselves separate. Ito, sinisiraan na yung mga Hudyo. Their customs are different from those of all other people and they do not obey the king's law. It is not in the king's best interest to tolerate them. It pleases the king, let a decree be issued to destroy them, and I will give 10,000 talents of silver to the king's administration for the royal treasury. So, anong ginawa? Pinagplanuhan talaga. At hindi lang pinagplanuhan, nagbigay pa siya ng pondo para gawin yung extermination for the whole Jews. Talagang siniraan ng gusto. Sabi niya, itong mga to, separated sila, may sarili silang kultura. At madalas, pag may inuutos ang hari, hindi sila sumusunod. Hindi maganda na manatili sila sa atin. And so therefore, pahintulutan niyo po, gumawa kayo ng batas. May panahon po, exterminate natin sila. At sabi niya, magbibigay pa ako ng pondo para mangyari ito. Alam nyo, hindi rin nag-isip ng mabuti o maayos. Meaning to say, na naengganyo niya yung hari. Gumawa ng batas, ng edict. So therefore, pinirmahan at yun nga, na-schedule. Nakuha nyo? Now, nalaman ito ni Mordecai. Nalaman niya yung masamang plano ni Haman. And so therefore, he started to do something about it. Nakuha nyo? Anong ginawa niya? He mourned. Umiyak siya. Let's read what happened. Mas maganda, mabasa natin yung chapter 4. Sabi rito, when Mordecai learned, tingnan nyo ha, grabe yung ginawa ni Mordecai. Nung nalaman niya ito, pinunit niya ang kanyang damit, tapos nagdamit siya ng sako. At umiiyak siya, at yung iyak niya hindi lang hikbi iyak talaga. Iyak! Loudly, sabi rito, and bitterly. But he went only as far as the king's gate because no one clothed in sackcloth was allowed to enter. So, paikot-ikot siya, pero hindi siya makapasok doon sa sa hari. In every province to which the edict and order of the kings came, there was great mourning among the Jews. Nabalitaan din ito ng mga Hudyo. And so therefore, nung ginawa nila? They also mourn, nanangis din sila. Not only that, with fasting, weeping, and hailing. And many lay in sackcloth and ashes. When Esther's eunuch and the female attendants came to and told her about Mordecai, she was in great distress. Nakuha niyo, ano nangyari? So, nanangis itong si Mordecai, nagdamit siya ng sako, in-encourage niya lahat ng mga Hudyo na mag-fasting, magdamit ng sako, mag-will. Bakit? Kasi papatayin sila eh. Meron na silang schedule na kung saan wala silang kalaban-laban, paapatayin sila. Akala nyo, nabalitaan ito ni Esther. Actually, Mordecai started to urge Esther to intervene. Sabi niya, gumawa ka ng paraan. Kasi pag hindi ka gumawa ng paraan, sigurado ikaw, akala mo ba, may yung position mo, hindi ka madadamay ka kasi ikaw ay Hudyo. Kasi yung law, yung edict, yung ginawang batas, lahat ng Hudyo, basta Hudyo ka, papatayin ka, malamang kang Hudyo. Ako niyo. Tingnan natin yung sinabi ni verse 12. Ito, ayan. I-highlight ko pupula. When Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, he sent back this answer. Ito sabi ni Mordecai, do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. O mo akalain dahil ikaw ay nasa bahay ng hari, makakaligtas ka. Sabi niya, hindi. Sabi niya, pag nanatili ka, but for if you remain silent, pag nanahimik ka sa panahong ito, sabi niya, for if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows? Sabi niya, who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such as this. Ano sabi ni Mordecai sa kanya? Huwag makalain na maliligtas ka. Mapapahama ka rin. Pero sigurado ako kung hindi ka kikilo, sabi niya kay Esther, ang Diyos, sabi, magbibigay pa rin. There is a relief coming from another place. Pero ikaw, pag hindi ka gumawa ng paraan, you are going to perish. Sabi niya, who knows? Sabi niya, hindi mo alam, baka yan ang dahilan bakit ikaw ay nilagay dyan sa panahong ito. Dahil yan talaga ang purpose. Bakit ka naging reyna? Yan talagang dahilan. Saka niyo, almost I can say, yan ang sinasabi ni Mordecai. Yan ang maaari, yan ang dahilan kung bakit ka nilagay ng Diyos sa posisyon na yan ngayon. Saka niyo, so Mordecai was urging Esther. And eventually, Esther decided. Sabi niya, sige, pupunta ako sa hari. Kaya lang ang problema, pag pumunta siya sa hari, na hindi siya pinatawag, merong batas na pag pumunta ka sa hari, kahit reyna, na hindi siya pinatawag, tapos hindi inano yung scepter, yung tungkod ba tawag, yung scepter ng hari, yung pinakabaston niya. Kapag hindi niya tinurong ganun, actually, anyone who comes to the presence of the king will be killed. Nakuha nyo? And so therefore, ang sabi ni Esther, kailangan kong pumunta. And so therefore, he asked actually for everybody, sabi niya, mag-fasting tayo kasi pupunta ako sa hari. Sabi niya, sige na, kung mapapahamak ako, mapapahamak. Ito yun, if I perish, I perish. Pero sabi niya, I'm going to risk my life. We're going there. But before that, he encouraged everyone to have a prayer and fasting so that yun nga, si God mag-orchestrate ang lahat. So yun ang nangyari. Okay, so what happened? Ang mahal na hari ay binigyan ng pabor si Queen Esther. And when Esther appeared before the king, sabi ng mahal na hari, anong mahalagang pakay mo sa akin? And so, Queen Esther invited the king. Sabi niya, mahal na hari, pwede ko po ba kayong ma-invite? At hindi lang, pati si Haman. And Haman was there actually. Nakuha niyo? Sabi niya, invite ko kayo sa banquet na ipaghahanda ko. Alam niyo, hindi agad sinabi ni Esther yung hindi agad niya sinabi yung problema. Hindi niya sinabi, alam niyo, mahal na hari, may plot sa amin yan, si Haman, gusto kaming patayin, hindi ganun eh. He waited for the perfect timing. Nakuha niyo? And so, nung marinig yun ni Haman, wow! Hindi niya pa alam na si Esther ay Hudyo. Sabi niya, wow! Sabi niya, talagang binibigyan ako ng papuri o ng parangal. Hindi lang ng hari maging ng mahal na reyna kasi biruin mo, ini-invite ako sa banquet. Kami lang ang in-invite. So Haman was very arrogant. But eventually, nakita niya naman si Mordecai. He again plotted to kill Mordecai. Anong ginawa? Sabi niya, magpapagawa ako ng galo. Alam niyo kung ano yung galo? Matulis na troso na ang plano niya, tutuhugin niya, parang gagawin niyang barbecue yung kanyang biktima doon. At ang plano niya, yun ang gagawin niya kay Mordecai. So si Haman, nagpagawa siya ng galo. Sabi niya, itong gagawin ko dyan sa Mordecai na yan. Kasi nga, hindi siya ginagalang o hindi siya niyuyukuan. So, okay. So what happened? Well, one night, ayun, during the night, no? When the night came, actually, it happened. It happened na naman, no? Sa hindi inaasahang pangyayari, hindi makatulog ang hari. Chapter 6, verse 1 to 14. Basahin natin, ha? Mas maganda. Basahin natin yung kwento, eh. Chapter 6. Nung hindi makatulog ang hari, sabi rito, that night, the king could not sleep, so he ordered the book of the Chronicles. So, dahil hindi siya makatulog, sabi niya, mas maganda magbasa-basa ako. Yung Chronicles, ito actually yung talaan ng mga nangyari doon sa kanyang kaharian. Nakuha niyo? So, sa hindi inaasahang pangyayari, nakuha niyo yung libro na kung saan naka-record na si Mordecai yung nag-expose kay Bigthana at Teresh na kung saan gusto siyang i-assassinate. Nakuha niyo? And so therefore, sabi niya, si Mordecai. Naalala niya si Mordecai. Nabigyan ba ito ng parangal? So, tinanong niya, sabi niya, ano bang naibigay nating parangal? So, what honor and recognition has Mordecai received? Sabi niya, anong natanggap nilang parangal? Sumagot yung attendant. Sabi niya, wala po, mahal na hari. Sabi, nothing has been done for him. Ganun ba? Ganun ba? And so therefore, sabi niya, so verse 4, the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman, nung time na yun, si Haman papadating. Naman yung papadating na, inabukasan. At nung nagsasalita pa siya, nagtanong siya kay Haman. Imagine si Haman ay prime minister. Sabi niya, dalhin sa akin si Haman, bring him to me. And the king ordered. And Haman entered. At eto nagtanong ang king. Sabi ng king, ano sa palagay mong dapat kong gawin doon sa tao na gusto ng hari parangalan? Tapos inisip ni Haman siya to. Nakanya. Inisip ni Haman, siya yung bibigyan ng parangal. Kaya sabi niya, ang pinakamaganda po kunin po yung pinakamaringal na kabayo ng hari. Tapos isasakay po dun yung tao. Tapos iikot at sisigaw na ito ang tao na kung saan ay pinararangal ng hari. Nakanya. So, ano nangyari? Akala niya siya yun. Tapos sabi ni King Xerxes, sabi niya, sige, yung naisip mo na magandang pagpaparangal, sabi niya, ganun ang gawin mo kay Mordecai. Imagine niyo, just imagine. Inis si Haman kay Mordecai. Tapos si Mordecai pa, yung pinarangalan at siya pa yung ginawang tagahila ng kabayo. Ako nga nyo, grabe, he was forced actually to lead Mordecai in a parade to honor him. Ako nyo, so galit na galit talaga si Haman. At you can just imagine, talaga sabi niya, may panahon din ito. Siguro nasa isip, may panahon din ito. May schedule na kayo para mamatay. Okay? Now, in chapter 7, Esther, once again, had a second banquet actually. And this time, ano nangyari? It was the downfall of Haman. Alam nyo, grabe, nakakatawa itong kwento na ito eh. Tingnan natin Ito, chapter 7 verse 1. Sabi rito, so the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet. So, imagine niyo si Haman nagpunta na sa banquet ni Esther. Imagine niyo, ang pakiramdam ni Haman, sabi niya, wow, ako yung inimbitahan ng queen. So, as they were drinking wine on the second day na, nagiinuman sila. The king again asked Queen Esther. Sabi niya, ano ba talaga ang gustong hingin mo sa akin? Sabi, what is your request? Sabi niya, kahit kalahati ng kaharian ko, bibigay ko sa iyo. That is actually way of saying, kahit anong hingin mo, bibigay ko sa iyo. Ako nyo? Kumbaga, gusto niyang magpakitang gilas sa kanyang asawa kasi binigyan sila ng banquet. And so, tuwang-tuwa ang hari sa kanya. No? Verse 3, the king, then Queen Esther answered, sabi niya, if I have found favor with you, your majesty, and it pleases you, grant me my life. This is my petition. Sabi niya, spare my people. This is my request. For I and my people have been sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated. If we have been merely sold as a male and female slave, I would have kept quiet, because no such distress would justify disturbing the king. Nagsumbong na si Queen Esther. Ano sabi niya? Sabi niya, mahal na hari, bigyan niyo po ako ng pabor. Sabi niya, ito pong hihilingin ko para sa aking buhay at sa buhay actually ng aking mga kababayan. Sabi niya, kami po ay binenta, ginawang alipin, pero hindi lang po yun. Gusto pa po kaming salantain o patayin lahat. Sabi niya, kung ginawa lang sana kaming alipin, hindi po sana ako magsusumbong sa inyo. Pero ito po. Ngayon, naggalit si King Xerxes. Sabi niya, sino yan? Sino ang taong nagpaplano na kung saan patayin ka at ang iyong mga kababayan? Doon na sumagot si Queen Esther. Sabi niya, ito po, ang aking kaaway, ang walang iba kundi si Haman. Nagulat si Haman. He was terrified before the king and the queen. Kasi akala niya, alam niyo, akala niya in-invite siya to be honored. Pero actually, to be accused of plotting to kill the queen. Imagine niyo, tuwang-tuwa ang hari sa reyna, tapos nagsumbong ang reyna, may papatay po sa amin. Sino ang papatay sa iyo? Ayan po si Haman. Yan po ang gustong pumatay. Nakuha nyo, anong ginawa ng hari? Verse 8, pansinin niyo to. And just as the king returned to the palace garden, to the banquet hall, ano nangyari? Nung nagsumbong si Queen Esther, nung papalapit na siya sa palasyo, sa palace garden, sa banquet hall, nakita niya si Haman. Si Haman, sabi, Haman was failing on the couch where Esther was reclining. You can just imagine, si Queen Esther, nakahiga siyang ganon, tapos biglang nadapa, papunta kay Queen Esther, si Haman. So parang nung nadapa siya, napayaka pa siya marahil, nakita ng hari. And the king exclaimed, sabi niya, grabe ka, sabi niya, will he even molest the queen while she is with me in the house? Grabe, sabi niya. Diba? Kasi sinusumbong na ni Queen Esther na gusto kaming patayin yan. Tapos nakita pa ng hari, napayakap, napadapa, napayakap, sabi ng hari, grabe, hindi mo lang, gusto mo pang molestyahin kahit nandito ako sa presensya mo, parang ganun. Lalong nainis ang hari. Nakuha niyo? Grabe yung kwento. Lalong nainis ang hari. And so therefore, what happened? Haman's pride was actually brought down. Anong ginawa? Inutos ng hari na patayin siya. At alam niyo kung saan siya pinatay? Doon mismo sa galo na kanyang ginawa. Grabe ironic. Siya yung gumawa nun. Gusto niyang tuhugin si Mordecai, ipahiya. Pero si Mordecai, pinarangalan at siya ang naparusahan doon. Grabe. So you will be able to see the deliverance of the Jews, no? In chapter 8 verse to 10, you will see kasi na-decree na, so napatay na si Haman, but they have to save themselves from the decree. Ang problema, yung utos ng hari, may kasabihan nga tayo, hindi na mababali. So kahit ang hari, siya, yung kamay niya nakatali kasi inanuhan niya na yun eh. Pinirmahan niya na kumbaga, linagyan niya na ng selyo niya. So anong ginawa niya? Nagplano sila, he actually asked the king to give a new decree. Ano yung decree na yun? Na lahat ng mga Israelita ipagtanggol nilang kanilang sarili. So the king allowed a new decree enabling the Jews to defend themselves. So anong nangyari? Yung decree na yun ipinangalat sa lahat ng cities na kung saan sakop ng Persian Empire during that time. And Mordecai was promoted in replacement with Haman. Ako grabe, no? Prinomote siya, and the people were actually, the people of the Lord, the Jews, they prepared to defend themselves. And you will be able to read from chapter 9, verse 1 to 19, the Jews, they were able to prepare and defeat their enemies. Meron pa ring mga lumusob, no? At yung araw na yun, instead of sorrow, that becomes a day of joy. And that day actually were celebrated as the day of Purim. And even up to now, the Jews are celebrating that day, that deliverance. Nakuha nyo? Kasi annihilate sila, papatay na sana silang lahat. However, they were saved. And you will see behind the scene, it was actually God. Ang Diyos ang nag-orchestrate ng lahat para maging queen si Esther, maitaas si Mordecai, maparusahan si Haman, at mailigtas entirely ang mga Hudyo. So, what lessons can we learn from the book of Esther? Bilisan lang natin. These are the lessons. Number 1, you will see very clearly God's providence is always at work. Even though God is not mentioned in the entire book, but you will see God's guidance is very much evident. Nakuha nyo? From Esther becoming a queen to the sleepless night that leads to Mordecai's honor. Naalala ko yung Romans chapter 8 verse 28. Makikita nyo yan yung verse na nagsusupport ng God's providence. Ano sabi doon? For we know that in all things, sa lahat daw ng bagay, ano daw ang ginagawa ng Diyos? God works for the good of those who love Him. Alam nyo, sa ating buhay, kahit parang hindi natin nakikita na si God ay kumikilos, gumagawa pa rin siya. Sabi nga when God is silent, it does not necessarily mean actually that He is not working. So, anong application natin yan sa ating buhay natin? Well, we have to trust God. even when at times that we do not see Him working. May mga ganun talaga eh. May mga panahon na parang, bakit ganun? Parang hindi ko nakikita kung saan ako nililid ni God, saan siya gumagawa sa buhay natin. Alam niyo, pagtiwalaan pa rin natin kasi even in His silence, He is not absent. He is actually orchestrating everything. Nakuha niyo? Kahit nga doon sa mga masasamang kondisyon ng ating buhay, pinapahintulot pa rin niya ng Panginoon kasi meron siyang ginagawa, may ibang plano siya. And so therefore, ang pwedeng maging tugon natin, pagtiwalaan natin siya. He's a good God. Nakuha niyo? He's a good God and His plan is always good for us. Alam niyo, kahit kailan ang Diyos hindi nag-isip na ikasasama natin. Lalo na sa mga anak nga at mga tinawag niya. He will always protect, He will always bless, He will always see to it that His children are into the right path. Nakuha niyo? So yun. Number 2, God actually places people for a purpose. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Ang Diyos nilalagay tayo sa mga posisyon natin kasi meron siyang dahilan. Si Esther, hindi aksidente actually. Lahat ng makikita niyo parang aksidente. No? Pero actually hindi aksidente yun. He was purposely actually placed by God for such a time as this. Yung sinabi ni Mordecai sa kanya. So ano ibig sabihin nun? Ang lesson natin yun ganito. Wherever God has placed you, workplace, family, or ministry, saan ka ba nilagay ng Panginoon ngayon? Ang ilan sa inyo ngayon, nilagay kayo nasa abroad. Ilan sa inyo nasa probinsya kayo. Ano man ang position nyo sa family, you are a mother, father, daughter, whatever. Or now, you are a leader of a certain ministry. Bakit ka nilagay ni God dyan? May purpose. God put you in that position for a divine reason. Nakuha nyo? Kahit sa trabaho, hindi nagkataon na trabaho mo yan. May certain purpose why God put you there. So, ang application na, tanungin natin, Lord, sa position na binigay mo sa akin ngayon, how can I serve you? Paano ba kita mapaglilingkuran? Paano ko magagamit yung position ko so that you will be honored and glorified? Why? Because you put me in a particular purpose. Nakuha nyo? So, walang nagkataon, walang aksidente. Number 3, faith overcomes fear. Sa totoo lang, nakakatakot yung kalagayan ni Esther. Kasi biruin mo, pupunta siya sa presensya ng hari pero hindi niya alam kung tatanggapin siya o hindi. Kasi pag hindi siya tinanggap, kamatayan eh. Pero sabi niya, if I perish, I perish. Pero before that, he actually asked the people of the Jewish people to pray for him. And so therefore, there is actually faith working. And I tell you, faith overcomes fear. Ang pananampalataya ang pumapawi ng takot. Ang takot, totoo yan. Nakuha nyo? Maraming dahilan kung bakit tayo natatakot. And courage does not actually mean absence of fear. No. Yung tapang, hindi ibig sabihin hindi ka natatakot eh. Yung tapang, dumadating yan kasi naniniwala ka na si God ay may gagawin. Siya ang kasama mo. And so therefore, application yan, let us stand for the truth and righteousness. Meaning to say, kapag alam mo na tama, kapag alam mo na totoo, panindigan natin yun. Nakuha nyo? Minsan kasi, kung ano yung tama at ano yung totoo, pag sinabi mo at pag ginawa mo, minsan uncomfortable. Kasi may mga tao magagalit, may mga makakabangga ka. Pero alam nyo, ang pananampalataya, naninindigan kasi sa katotohanan at katuwiran. Pag wala na kasing katotohanan at katuwiran, nagkakagulo sa pamilya, sa trabaho, at maging sa buong bansa. Yan ang nangyari actually sa bayan natin ngayon. Dahil wala ng katuwiran, wala ng righteousness, at yung kasinungalingan, lahat nagtatakipan na ng mga kasinungalingan. Ngayon nga, hindi mo na malaman kung sino yung mga nag-insert ng mga budget doon sa 2025 budget na kung saan pinagnanakaw ng mga politiko. Nagtatakipan na sila. And so therefore, chaos. Nakuha nyo? And we need people who are going to stand in truth and righteousness even though sometimes it's very scary. Nakakatakot minsan di ba? But we need faith. If we believe that God is with us, we will be able to overcome fear. Ano yung mga takot nyo sa buhay nyo, by the way? Saan kayo takot? Takot na mawala ng trabaho, takot na iwanan ng mahal sa buhay, takot na malugi sa negosyo, takot na mamatay. Alam niyo yung mga takot na yun, pwede nating labanan kapag tayo ay merong pananampalataya. Number 4, God honors humility and justice. Si Mordecai, he remained humble and faithful. Pero si Haman, napakataas ng ere. Ano sabi sa Proverbs 16 verse 18? Pride goes before destruction. Kapag mataas ang ere mo, ang kasunod nun, pagbagsak. A haughty spirit before a fall. So alam nyo, as leaders, we have to choose to walk in humility. Let God be the one to lift you up. Hayaan natin na ang Diyos ang mag-i-honor tayo. Let's remain humble. Let's remain humble because God knows how to lift people up. And He is just. Ang Diyos natin, lagi siyang matuwid eh. Kung anong tama, laging yun ang magwawag. Nakuha nyo. Number 5, God delivers His people. Mordecai remained humble and faithful while Haman's led to downfall. Actually, throughout all of this story, you will see God's hand, no? Ang Panginoon talaga, ang Diyos talaga ang nagliligtas sa mga tao niya. And so therefore, let's always remember to come to God in prayer and even in fasting. Gusto ko lang i-share as leaders, no? You and I were leader as lay leaders serving in the church at WOTG. Ako, nag-serve ako sa Rockfish Church. 4 principles that I want to share to you. Number 1, as leaders, we need to be sensitive to God's timing. Hindi ibig sabihin na may pangailangan o kailangan na natin gawa ng paraan, dire-diretso tayo. Si Esther, marunong siya maghintay eh. Nakanya, he was actually waiting for the timing of God. Minsan, ako na lang siguro. Minsan ako may mga time na, parang mainipin. Diba? Mainip, ganun din ba kayo? Mainipin. Lalo na pag may gusto ka nang mangyari. Gusto natin action agad. Ako pa naman action man ako. Pero the Lord is teaching me actually to start listening to His guidance. And so therefore, I need to be sensitive to His timing. Alam niyo, as leader, kailangan natin yun. Hindi ibig sabihin tama yung gagawin natin o sasabihin natin o totoo yung sasabihin natin, ura-urada tayo. Hindi. Binabasa natin dapat yung kalagayan. We don't only tell the truth, but we tell the truth with love. And so therefore, we have to be sensitive for the timing, even God's timing. Pangalawa, number 2, as leaders, no? Because leadership actually is an influence. So you're actually in a position of influence. Pero I want to encourage you, God put you in that leadership, in that position for His glory, not for our glory. We have to understand that leadership is stewardship. Meaning to say, pinagkatiwala lang sa atin ng Panginoon yung position na yan. And so therefore, we have to use it wisely. We have to use it to glorify God. Hindi tayo nilagay sa leadership para magmagaling, magmataas, o kaya ay yung gustong-gusto ni Haman, yung niyuyukuan siya. Diba yun ang gustong-gusto ni Haman? No. We were put into a position so that we will be able to use our position to serve God and to serve the people of God. Number 3, if there are problems, let's encourage the unity and prayer. Before making any big decisions in life, it's so wise to come to God in prayer and even fasting. Alam niyo, isa yun sa mga bibihira actually na ginagawa na tawag nito, spiritual discipline ng mga mananampalataya ngayon. Kakaunti. Pero I want to encourage you to come in prayer, not only in prayer, but in fasting, especially in the big decision makings that you will be having. Number 4, in everything that we get, success man yan sa position, financial success, family success, career success, business success, or even ministry success, let's not forget to give God the glory. Acknowledge God's hand in every success that you and I experience. Kasi hindi naman talaga yun para sa atin. Si God talaga may gawa nun. Kung hindi naman kikilo si God sa atin, wala naman tayo. So those are the 4 leadership principles that I want to share to you. Now, that's the Book of Esther. Ayan, tapos na po tayo sa Book of Esther. Now, meron tayong 3 small group discussion questions dito.